one of the youngest male figure skaters to win an Olympic medal. Like, we really have been slacking in our 20s here, Mercado. Like, we should have been skating. And joining us today, we have Olympic U.S. figure skater Jason Brown. Jason, thank you for joining us today.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me.
Jason, thank you so much for joining us. I right away, you class up the place, you bring the energy, and we appreciate it so much. Another hometown hero. We have been keeping it going on the Sports Cubicle, and I was so excited to get you on the show because not only are you, just a breath of fresh air, but the letter that you wrote to yourself. We're going to start off with the home run of it all. It moved me. I mean, there were so many moments there where I'm a sucker for talking to your past self because there's so much growth that happens in 6 months, let alone 5 years, 10 years, and then what you went through and where you're at right now. For your people here in Chicago, I mean, tell us a little bit about that amazing letter to yourself, to your past self.
Yeah, when it's an Olympic year, you get a lot of questions, a lot of, you have a lot of interviews, and people are, interested in your story. And I think at the beginning of the year, I was getting a lot of questions about, like, what would you have told your younger self? Because I've had this longevity and I've been in the sport now for basically 2 decades. And so it was one of those situations where in the moment I didn't articulate what I wanted to say, but it kept me up at night thinking what would I tell my younger self? If I had the time to really think about it. And so I just put it down in a letter. And I've read that letter to myself before each event as the season has gone on. And I think for me, it was just more about the lessons that I've learned, through all the good and all the bad. It's like finding each silver lining along the way, but also realizing, the letter that I wrote concludes with kind of saying, but you're going to have to experience it all for yourself to kind of figure it out. I wish I could tell you, I wish I could tell my younger self, if you just knew X, Y, and Z, this wouldn't happen to you, or this would happen to you. But the reality is there's only one way to really kind of learn, and that's through experience and taking the good with the bad.
Well, Jason, you're such a inspiration when it comes to being open and being vulnerable to a tough sport. And in sports in general, but we're talking about Olympians now, and we're talking about something you can't play defense on. And I think you being open to the audience and to fans is really important. And I wonder how has that mentality changed during the pandemic? And coming from all the different trials and all the different regional and national things you had to go through, dealing with also understanding who you are now as a person in this new world we're living in.
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's been tough. I mean, I think COVID has impacted every single person in one way or the other. And I think it's just, as athletes, we strive on kind of our habits, and we strive on the ritual and the patterns, that each kind of sport follows within their season. And so I think, we've all kind of gone through this abrupt stop and this halt of everything that we thought we knew and all the structure that we had suddenly blows up in smoke, and we're trying to kind of recreate it in a different way. And we're trying to make the most of the resources that we have. And really we learn what we really need to get to do what we love to do. So it's been really tough. That being said, I feel like I was able to draw on my experience and draw on kind of being in all these different scenarios over the years, to really help me through that period of time. But no, it's difficult. There's no denying that, but I think it's something, when we talk about COVID, it definitely unified us all. And so I think trying to find those commonalities and being able to reach out, and, skating is one of those sports where we have this artistic component where we can express ourselves in such a way. So I really tried to do that through my performances. And when I did get to perform, really lay out, and give that, those emotions to the audience, and try to you have to be vulnerable, when you perform.
Now, Jason, I know you're talking about the audience here, and with the pandemic, it's been kind of made clear there's not going to be any fans or spectators here. Do you feel like that's going to affect your performance, or are you just going to kind of get in that mindset where there's still a crowd going, Jason, Jason, Jason out there?
You know what? It's, we've now had 2 years of every iteration of an audience. So I have competed in front of cardboard cutouts. I have competed in front of an empty stadium. And I've competed in like a stadium where they have a certain capacity that's allowed in. So I've gone through it all. Nothing compares to getting to perform in front of, a stadium filled with fans. There's no feeling like it. That being said, I've gotten my experience of performing kind of really to the camera as much as I can to the viewers at home. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, hopefully put on a show from afar.
Absolutely. And Jason, so do you have like a different sort of show you do for like the Olympics, or is this kind of the stuff you've done for your qualifying rounds? Because I know every figure skater kind of has like their go-to. So do you have like your go-to safe round, or are you like, I'm trying something new and different and fun?
Yeah, so actually skating is one of those sports where typically, there's always someone always throws a curveball or always can mix it up, but we do have the same routines that we work on for the entire year. So kind of the routines that I qualified to get to the games with, those are going to be the routines that I'll be performing in Beijing. That being said, that's not always the case, but probably 99% of the time.
Does it ever frustrate you when you are getting all the artistic juices going, but the body isn't quite where it needs to be to perform them, and vice versa, where like the body's at its peak moment in the sport, but you just can't find the right thing to lose yourself in? How frustrating is that? How often does that happen for you and in the sport?
Oh my gosh. Frustrating doesn't even do the feeling justice. It is the most irritating, aggravating, no, it's beyond frustrating. I think for me though, that's where that mental side of it comes in handy. I've been very fortunate where I've worked with a sports psychologist since I was 10 years old, like weekly. And so I think that's really where that key component comes in, because it's about doing it when you don't feel good, trying to convince yourself like you can do it anyways. It's also kind of, my coaches really push me on days where I'm off because sometimes you're going to be off on the day of the competition and you're going to have to push through. So it's definitely something that is not ideal. It's not something that I strive for. But they're sometimes the most rewarding competitions when you go in and feel off, but then you're able to kind of become that fighter, dig down deep, kind of have that grit and get the job done. Is sometimes the most rewarding. But I would have to say that like when things really come together, like 100% of the time, physically, mentally, like you're in that mode of, just acing it, that's like when it's just at ease, where they call it like that flow state, maybe happens 1%, 2% of the time in my entire career when I compete. So it's very minimal when that, because all the kind of the stars align. But we're dealing with like when your body is the instrument, like it's a very, you're always having to fine tune something.
Right now,
we're also pushing ourselves we're always pushing our limits. So you're always, you're never in that kind of safe zone.
Very true. Now, Jason, obviously winning the gold is probably the answer here, but other than winning the gold medal, what are you most looking forward to about competing this time around?
Yeah, nothing, obviously there's a lot of things that make the Olympic Games unique, but one of the most incredible parts is that you get to do what you love to do on the biggest stage in the world. And I think having that platform and having that opportunity, I don't take lightly. And I'm just really looking forward to kind of seizing that moment and putting on a show for everyone back at home, and just making the most of it. I think, the Olympics are one of those events where it is so difficult to just get onto that team. And it's also such an amazing opportunity where you are surrounded by the best athletes in all of winter sports from all over the world, that you just want to be there in that celebration of like, let's celebrate, like, let's do what we love to do the best that we can. And, you know, obviously, like what you said, the goal is to, you know, you always want to bring home the hardware. But you know, at the end of the day, I just really looking forward to just having that opportunity to do what I love in Beijing.
It's funny you say that, Jason, because one of the things I hate the most when we have conversations about the Summer or Winter Olympics is when somebody says, well, they only won bronze. Oh, they only won silver. Yes, at the Olympics. The Olympics. But
how many medals did we won, Mercado?
How many medals? I don't have any Olympic. I don't see any. Like, it's this crazy idea, and that's fandom, and I get it, and that's why you're a better person than us, because you handle these people better than we do here on the Sports Cubicle. But Jason, I really wanted to ask you this as our time is wrapping up. You've been a wonderful guest, and you said something that, again, this whole conversation's been interesting, but platforms, stages, doing what you love. You can hear it in your voice, and people who follow the sport or have followed your journey know this, that you take it it's very important to you. And you take it near and dear to your heart, both of them, what they mean. Going into the Olympics, everything that's surrounding it, all the fun and all the bad that comes with a geopolitical event like this. How important is it for you to be on this stage and promote it for what you believe in and the art and sport that you love?
I mean, it's beyond important. I mean, I think, you know, one of the coolest parts, well, that we try to do when it comes to sport is that you remove all the excess hoopla that's going on. You know, what you talk about, the politics, you talk about, you know, and it's just about the athlete and doing the sport that they love to the best of their ability, and kind of being in that kind of celebration of unity, everyone coming together, you know, in the spirit of sport. And so, I mean, I think that's really so important. I mean, I think, you know, skating adds another layer of this. We have this opportunity to also express ourselves through the music that we choose and the performances, and kind of the pieces that we skate to. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I think, you know, with everything that's going on in the world, I really hope that people can just sit back, relax, and just enjoy the athletes, and kind of, you know, we've all been through so much, and I hope that they can, you know, everyone can just really just enjoy and rally and cheer on the athletes from the US and the athletes from all over the world, and just know that we're just so proud to represent our countries.
I just want to ask if you got any advice for any aspiring young skaters right now who want to be, you know, where you are. What would you say?
You know what? I live by like two quotes. One is always follow your heart. And the other one is the Oscar Wilde quote of be yourself, everyone else is already taken. And I think when it comes to being kind of aspiring to whatever you want to do, whether it's in the sport or out of the sport, I think it's remembering how incredible you are and how no one else is you. You know, I think so often, especially in the sport, we're always comparing ourselves to each other. That's just the nature of it. We're always fighting for spots. We're always, whether that's in a team sport, trying to get on a team, fighting for spots, or, you know, in skating, we're all fighting for these, you know, coveted spots at the games, at Worlds, whatever it may be. And I think that remembering that you bring so much value for just being who you are, and kind of remembering to own that and to kind of stand with pride, you know, no matter, you know, what that is, you know, you personally have to find it. But I've struggled a lot over the years kind of with that self-worth piece, and just kind of going back and forth with feeling like, am I enough? You know, but if you work and give it your all, you know, that's all you can do, and be proud of that and own that, and know that, you know, you bring something to the table that no one else does. And that's something that's really remarkable.
Jason, you are a wonderful ambassador for the sports, and you are what we call an old soul in a young person's game, and we appreciate you joining us here. Where can the people, your people of Chicago, everybody who's going to be supporting you during these games, and of course afterwards, where can people support you?
Oh, well, I have meaning Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah,
wherever,
anywhere
like
you
in
want.
that sense.
Anything you got going on. The people, they love you. Where can the people love you?
Oh my gosh, you guys are about sold. My Instagram and Twitter handles are at Jason B Skates. Also Stars on Ice. We're gonna be touring. We're gonna be performing at the United Center in the spring. So if you want to come out, there'll be obviously the Olympic team will be there. So really looking forward to that and performing. There's nothing like performing in front of a home crowd. So really excited about that. But we'll see. I just hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys all tune in this February. Well, I guess that's next week.
I know.
This February, aka next week. I hope you guys enjoy and just get ready for a lot of excitement coming up.
Jason Brown, he's representing Team USA in figure skating. When you come back with another medal on your neck, you better join us, okay?
Sounds good. I'm in.
You're listening to the Sports Cubicle on WCPT, your home for the 2022 Winter Olympics with the Palacious one, Paul Chivari, the marvelous one, Dan Marver, sports from the couches, Mike Mercado, and yours truly, Devin Tingle. Stick around, guys.